One. All right, guys, welcome to our usual Tuesday afternoon best ball live stream. I have brought in a ringer today, one of the guys that is on the forefront of thought leading in the best ball space. It is, of course, Mike Beers from RotoViz. How are we doing, Mike?
Hey, I'm doing well. Exciting times for the best ball people. You know,
seriously,
blowing up.
It's all the rage right now. Better late than never. Just to set the table, we have hopped into a Best Ball Mania draft on Underdog. We're doing things a little different today. Mike and I are going to be drafting against each other. We are both registered right now. If you guys want to hop in, you will get to compete against us. Mike, I like this. Normally I draft with someone. Today we're going to be talking out our strategies, knowing that we might be sniping each other.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about you.
Yeah, you know my. Actually, no, you have a stomach for zero RB. I have seen your teams.
Oh yeah, man. It's been fun this year, and God, I love it because everyone hates these teams. Every time I draft them, they're like, "Wait, what the hell are you doing? This is terrible." Yeah, so it's fun to post them.
The zero RB teams have never won Twitter. That you have never posted a zero RB team and just had everyone get up and slobber all over themselves for it.
Yeah, it's tough too because it works, right? But you don't have like some huge number of teams to point to show everybody that it works. Like at the end of the year, because there's so few people do it. You know, people don't buy in. So you have a small sample of people who are actually trying it, and then you can't say, look, here are these 100 great teams that went zero RB. You can point to like one or two, and people are just like, oh, well, you drafted this guy, you drafted that guy. Like it doesn't actually work.
What have been your positional allocations you've been doing in Underdog for true zero RB builds? How many running backs have you ended up drafting?
So 6 or 7. If I'm getting one of the earlier guys not doing a zero RB, I like to stop around 5. But if we're really hammering wide receiver, we just especially getting an elite tight end, right, and can stop with 2 tight ends, then I'm counting up the running backs. But
yeah, and what I want to hear about, because we were talking about maybe registering for a bubble team, but I found out you have already maxed it. Tell the people about how you went about doing this.
Yeah, so I took advantage of Underdog has this cool feature with the autopilot. That's not really anything new. It's just auto drafting. But on the rankings, you can set a maximum number of players at each position, right? And then if you sort of finagle your rankings, you can have it draft the kind of team that you want. So it took a few tries. So like my first 20 teams on autopilot looked a little weird, but basically what I did was I am a zero RB or a sort of light RB or early on kind of guy, and with the bubble, because it was the lower entry fee, I sort of created my hedge book. I rigged the settings on the autopilot and my rankings so that I would get 3 elite running backs first, either first 3 picks or 3 out of the first 4 picks, and then only 3 running backs. So it's this idea of this hyper fragile draft, which I came up with, 4 years ago now, where you only take 3 running backs. You make sure they're really good, and if they manage to stay healthy, then you can win with just 3. You can win with just 2, really, but third one at least covers some bye weeks and everything. And so I just have it take those 3 running backs, go up to 9 wide receivers, 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends. And if you go through and look at these teams that I've drafted, I've got a whole bunch of stacks on all of them, because if you got 3 quarterbacks, 9 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, you're just going to end up with stacks. Like you don't have to be there picking out each one. So the idea with the hyperfragile draft is over a larger sample, you're going to get some of these combinations of 3 running backs that actually hit, or at least 2 of them stay very healthy, right? And wide variety of wide receivers. Doesn't matter if somebody gets injured because I got 9 of them. I've got the stacks in there, so it seemed like a perfect place to do it. And because I'm not usually drafting these early running backs, particularly the guys in the 3rd and 4th round, like I never draft them when I'm just drafting by hand. That's why I call this my hedge book, right? So like if I'm just wrong and it was the right thing to do to draft those 3rd and 4th round running backs, well, maybe I'll win 20 grand in the bubble. So that's the idea. And I was just entering like maybe on 3 separate days, I just entered over and over and over and over and over again over the past couple of weeks. So if you were entering these drafts live, you saw me in every single one consecutively. And I just watched them go. It's kind of fun to just like peek in on them over the span of a couple hours, see who they're drafting. And I kept track of my exposures, right? So like at one point I had so much Todd Gurley, because if you're trying to get a 3rd running back early, you're going to end up with Todd Gurley. So I pushed him, down below, Melvin Gordon and Fournette, who are later in ADP. And, at one point I moved a bunch of wide receivers actually ahead of that group of guys because, at the end of the 3rd round, there's just that gap. Nobody's picking those running backs, right? So I could actually have it take a wide receiver and then still get the running back in the 4th round. So that's what I meant by sort of adjusting it early on. I was watching it go and then keeping the exposures not too crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say I remember way back when in the olden days with MFL 10s, I was never a big best ball high volume player, but I remember reading your first article about hyperfragile RB. I think I played 3 MFL 10s. And I think I went 1 for 3 winning those with the hyperfragile strategy. And then you see this year, Leone over established the run, ran his, analysis on previous stuff and found that those hyperfragile 3 running back rosters as well. So it's nice to see everyone catching up to the early research you did. The thing is people still have such a hard time not going back to running back. They don't know how to let off the gas even after starting with 3 running backs.
Yeah, and you really got to commit to it, because you start shooting yourself in the foot if you keep drafting running backs. Like that's kind of the whole point, because those early wide receivers are so good, like important, and you have to start 3 of them and everything. You can't use more of those spaces, right? Like you just have to accept, if my guy gets hurt, all right, I lose. Like that's it. I'm going to do a bunch of these and I'm going to lose more of them than I win. But the way the payouts work and everything, it's worthwhile.
So I completely understand the in the hedge autopilot ones, you are making concessions on kind of that 3rd running back guys that you don't typically love, because the times I've tried to pull off the hyperfragile, I really need one of the early slots in kind of a later slot too, like the 3 or the 4, because what I've found is, I'm willing to get Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler in the 2nd, and I'm willing to do James Conner or Jonathan Taylor in the 3rd. But if I miss that cutoff, like when I'm manually doing it, I don't have the stomach for Todd Gurley or Fournette or even, Carson in that range. When you are doing hyperfragile drafts on your own, where is your personal cutoff on these backs that you're willing to assume have a bell cow ceiling?
Yeah. So I'm not doing any of them sort of by hand, myself this year, because I don't think you can do it. I mean, I think probably my last guy is, I kind of talked myself into Melvin Gordon earlier in the year, and now I'm not even really counting him. So maybe it goes down to, I think James Conner I've jumped up. So like he's ahead of Gurley, right? So he might be the last one. So maybe you could do like Christian McCaffrey and I don't know who's the last one there now. Eckler sometimes if you're lucky, and then Conner, right? Yeah. And that's a great 3 for hyperfragile. But if you can't get, if Connor's gone, you're really kind of stuck. And that's and like you said, the second half of the 3rd round, that's a terrible spot for it, right? And I actually changed it so that I would take a wide receiver there with this autopilot, and then take the running back in the 4th round instead. Yeah.
And that's what I kind of found too, of the times I did commit to, okay, I'll get some running backs early. Say I start like Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, that mid to late 3rd gets so gross. And I'm like, I'm not forcing this. I'm drafting it. And then I'll come back, get like a DeAndre Swift in the 5th, and then maybe a 0 running back target later. So I end up having like 4 running backs. So it's not quite the hyper fragile, but the same idea, just because, like you said, that opportunity cost in the third, passing on some of those great wide receivers it's just too much.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really, and particularly this year. I mean, when I sort of wrote that article and came up with the hyper fragile idea, it was right after that year that running back. It was after 2015, like the running back apocalypse, and you had I don't know, 6 wide receivers going in the first 8 picks or something. It was crazy, something that just never happened before, and that was a perfect year for it. And like this year is terrible for it. And that's why, like, I was not going to go in and draft these teams by hand. It was purely just like, kind of a fun exercise. And, I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope all these teams lose. I really do, because that means I'm winning elsewhere where I, have more on the line, where I'm, putting more thought into it. And, I'm just covering the bases.
Yeah. And would you say then the stuff you're hedging against are those teams predominantly 1 RB and then punt for a while and true 0 RB? Are those the majority of your builds?
Yeah. Either, a running back in the early first or 0 RB pretty much. I mean, sometimes I like Kenyon Drake. He's one of the guys. He's not falling because of that injury, but he was one of the few guys I would take in the back half of the first round, early second round. Otherwise, I'm kind of off him. I never really bought in Miles Sanders, which he would be the other guy that people might do that with. But so it's really just the one running back or no running back. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you obviously we've all heard all the different, criticisms of 0 RB, yada, yada, yada. But in this specific format, the 18 picks, I mean, I think the normal criticism is, you're not going to have, there's not enough picks, enough running backs to get on your team and sufficiently hammer the people at the other positions. What are your thoughts on 0 RB in this specific Underdog format?
Yeah, it's harder. It's much easier, like say over on DraftKings where you got 20 rounds and it's full PPR, much easier to do. Here, I really more often am taking at least one of the earlier running backs, just because it's harder to pull off. I mean, not having those extra 2 darts at the end of the draft is just tough. I mean, like the idea is you're expecting to miss on a lot of these running backs. They're not great. They're not early picks because they're not high, probability bets. There may be high upside bets, but not high probability. So you want to have as many of them as possible, and it's just hard to do on Underdog. So, depending on what draft slot we get, like I'm probably not going 0 RB in the draft. In all the, in a lot of the sort of like expert drafts and in other formats, I've done a lot of 0 RB this year. It's probably not going to happen here unless, I get exactly the right spot.
Yeah. And how are you approaching tight end? I found myself in Underdog. I have so much Mark Andrews because I'm getting him at the late 4th. I know you in some of the research you've done over at Rotoviz has shown how that elite tight end can be such a huge advantage. How are you approaching it this year?
Yeah, I like to get. I really like Andrews here in particular. In the full PPR leagues, I prefer Ertz because he's generally a little cheaper and I expect more volume. But Andrews with more touchdowns, probably coming. I like him a lot. I like to get one of Kelsey or Ertz. Not Ertz, or Kittle. And then if I don't get one of them, I'm skipping the whole. I don't know, the next like 8 guys down the list. So then I'll be getting 3 of, I like Gesicki, guys in that range, Hawkinson, that I'm going more volume there, just trying to piece together 3 guys as opposed to, trying to find the expensive high upside guy. I really like Evan Ingram. He could have a great year, but you got to miss out on a great wide receiver to get him. That kind of thing. Higbee's not a guy I draft very often, that range. So.
And how are you? So one spot I found myself in, having drafted a bunch of Mark Andrews, is I then feel like I can wait a good bit. And, a lot of times I'm hoping to get like a Hawkinson or Fant, but sometimes I'm waiting till the very end and kind of just rounding out some snacks to where I'm grabbing a Logan Paulson, a Dan Arnold. With that construction with Mark Andrews, are you looking to go 2 or 3 tight ends with that, or does it depend?
It depends on what I'm doing with the rest of the roster. if I'm ending up, in a it looks more like a 0 RB draft, then I need that roster spot. So I'm going to take a tight end earlier and stop at 2. So I might get, like I mentioned, Gesicki's a guy I like. So I might get him and Andrews and just stop at 2. I really don't like to mess around with those really late tight ends. They just so rarely pan out. I mean, it's like, it's really easy to, like you said, sort of fill out a stack with them, right?
Yeah.
And that makes them more attractive. But the reality is, I mean, if you go back and look at guys drafted in that range, they just don't score points.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like I'm not going to draft, Dan Arnold probably ever. Even though I like I like the Arizona offense quite a bit. It's just, guys like that are not the kind of bet I like to make, I guess. I really prefer, a deep threat wide receiver at that point.
Yeah, no, that makes sense too. And I do like my build. I'd much rather be grabbing Andy Isabella with that last pick than Dan Arnold, if I can help it. Guys, come on. We need 2 more to fill this. If it's confusing, we're not in the bubble today. We are in the Best Ball Mania. It's the $25 price point. It's time to get your deposit king status going and hop in this draft with us. And we will get this underway here soon. What else was I going to ask? Yeah. So speaking of, you mentioned you like the Cardinals offense. I've been drafting a lot of Kyler. Are you kind of agnostic as where you get quarterbacks? Or are you prioritizing one from that kind of elite tier from, say, like the 3 to 7 range?
Yeah, I like to get one of those guys. I completely pass on Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. They're just too expensive. They're just off my board. I do like to get one of the Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler, that range. But because of the format here, like with where it switches to the 1 week playoffs in 14, 15, 16, I really do focus a lot on stacking with quarterbacks, and I don't plan it out until, I'm getting to those later rounds, right? So I'm just going to draft all the guys I want for the first 6 rounds or so. And then I'm going to target the quarterbacks that go with them.
Yeah.
As opposed to setting out saying, like, I want to stack Giants receivers with Daniel Jones in this draft, right? It's just, if I happen to get a couple of them, then I'm saving a spot for Jones.
Beers, what's your username here? Sorry, this started. I don't see. What's your name on here?
Oh, yeah, I got a different name now. We are starting. You got the 101. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Where am I? So I'm Deep Lemon.
Okay. Yeah, I have seen you in drafts then recently.
It wasn't me though.
It was your auto self.
It was the autopilot. Yeah, I noticed that because I just sort of I checked through them how they turned out. I saw your name in a few of them.
All right, but, I'm slowing things up already. Let me add C-Mac to the squad here. So you're at the 10 slot here. Are you? Is this setting you up for a true 0 RB build?
Man, I don't know. It depends on who's there. I'm probably going to end up with a tight end. So unless somebody, I guess, is watching and takes him, I'm probably taking Kelsey at the turn, but I don't know. We'll see who makes it. I mean, I might go with Devontae Adams and Kelsey. I wouldn't mind that. Obviously Michael Thomas would be better, but I said,
Oh, go ahead.
No, I do like to get a running back in one of the first 2 rounds. It's really 3rd and 4th round where I'm just not touching them. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I do feel like the ADPs are very efficient on Underdog, but it does seem like the elite tight ends are all slightly undervalued, and some of them more so than others. I think Andrews is really undervalued, but it seems like Kelsey and Kittle, even though it's not tight end premium or anything, that those guys are still going. Would you say like 3 or 4 picks after where they should go?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are really valuable, even without the PPR. I mean, I think they just put you in a very strong position. I'm gambling a little bit here. I could have just taken Kelsey, but I went with Devontae Adams. So we'll see what happens. This is a tough spot, actually. Normally I would just take Kenyon Drake there, but now he's gotten cheaper.
because of the
12. But like I got, earlier today, he was going in the back half of the second round. People were spooked about the injury. So, all right, here we go. So, we're starting out 0 RB. We're ready to go. I'm going Devontae Adams and Travis Kelce.
What do you, how close are Kelce and Kittle for you?
They're very close, but Kelce's ahead. I just think better offense. I think he's going to have more shots at touchdowns. I think he's going to have higher volume. He doesn't stay in the block as much. So he's got the edge, but I'm always very happy to get Kittle as well.
Sorry, guys, I forgot to do this. I'm going to try to get you both a little grid mode and going back when we need to pick here so we can see how this is going. It's always interesting to see the teams. It's very rare to look at teams who start without a running back in their first 2 rounds. That kind of normally sets the tone when you check out the board. We'll see if the Eric Belair as the Michael Thomas owner, he's in the chat. We'll see if he sticks to his 0 RB guns or not. So you mentioned here, so is in the 3rd and the 4th, it would probably take a pretty interesting person to fall to you to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, I mean, let's see who's even. If James Conner made it, but he never makes it that far anymore. He used to. I might take him, but otherwise, I'm probably going 2 wide receivers here, and then just looking forward. I'm probably going to stop with 2 tight ends, given that I have Kelce, and that's going to free me up to take more running backs. But
let's see.
It's tough when people know that you're going 0 running back. Like I feel like they just kind of like stick it to you sometimes. I really felt this way in this Draft Sharks. Draft I did a few weeks ago. I waited till the 12th round to take my first running back, and then between the 12th and 13th round, they were like, "Oh, he's taking running backs now," and like 8 of my favorite targets were gone. I don't know if that was really anyone targeting me or not, but
so I'm torn here, Mike. Part of me wants to just do the hyper fragile, go James Conner and Jonathan Taylor, even though that's a bit of a stretch. I think I'm going to do it. I probably wouldn't do this here, but I want to get Mike and I on different paths to these drafts. And do you hate this start for me here?
So you're good with Conner and
Taylor? Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah. No, I don't hate it.
I think I'm going to do it. Just normally I would get those wide receivers, but I want to do a hyper fragile build. And with you on the 0 RB build, and I am now done most likely drafting any running back. So it'll get us on different trajectories in this draft.
Yeah. No, yeah, you need to be done. Like that's how it works.
We're done. No more running backs for me. Get them out of the way.
It's liberating, you don't have to stress about your guy falling, yeah. But that's actually one of the reasons I like 0 RB so much this year. Sean Siegel at RotoViz, he wrote this article where I think the title of it was like running back is bottomless or something, like wide receiver is deep, running back is bottomless. I'm not stressing about getting my favorite guys at the end because there are a dozen of them, or more. So if somebody picks off the guy I was hoping to get, there's always a guy right behind him who I'm happy to put on my roster.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
That is true. Yeah. The nice thing, I mean, you mentioned the Draft Sharks draft. I mean, that was, how many rounds was that? Was that 25?
25, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the well definitely runs dry there. Whereas in these 18 rounds, there's always someone with your last pick that you're still relatively excited about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. I am also very physically uncomfortable with this 3 RB start. No, I will say, and to Mike's point, it is actually kind of liberating in a way, even for us 0 RB guys, because to know that you don't have to go back to it, that you're just completely done with it. And now I can hammer wide receiver, focus on my stacks. It works out. Nice wide receiver run here as expected. I think everyone who's in the chat has already picked. Do you have any targets here, Mike, coming up?
I think let's see. And nobody's taking. Oh, there goes the quarterback. All right, they're going to tempt me with Lamar Jackson. No, I mean, I just wish I liked Carson or Gurley because they're falling later than normal here. But I don't want them at all. So
yeah,
let's see. AJ Brown's my guy. I think. I like him particularly for best ball. If if this were like a redraft full PPR league, I might look at Adam Thielen, just because I expect him to get so many targets. But AJ Brown, he's the one who can really just smash like huge weeks several times this year. So
there you go.
On that way.
Sorry,
I'm probably going to try to do that again with my next pick.
Yeah, we'll see if IMAX does scoop Lamar Jackson. Someone in the chat had referenced this is pretty late for the quarterbacks to go. I mean, I've seen Lamar go in the first, early second in these before. Yeah. So 312 is pretty nice actually if you're going to do it. So
Gordon, that's as good as it gets. I never see him go later than that.
And it looks like you have some nice wide receivers available to you here. You got the Rams guys, McLaurin, Lockett, Chark, Metcalf.
Yeah. And then they're still leaving me some running backs. Like, I can't believe Gurley is still here based on those other drafts I was watching. Maybe these just go differently from the bubble.
Carson, too. That is late for him.
Oh, man, I really don't like Carson. Gurley, Fournette. All right, you know what? I'm going to take a running back here. I mean, because I'm expecting to have still a couple of good wide receivers around the next bend.
Yeah. So. And how are you thinking? I mean, we all have these running backs that we don't love, but as you just pointed out, based on them sliding or because of construction standpoint that you're willing to stomach. Are you thinking of all these guys as kind of equal probability bets, or do you have preferences of the Gurley, Fournette, Le'Veon Bells?
Yeah, I marginally prefer, I think, Gurley because I like the Falcons' offense. I think Freeman just did a terrible job, but he had plenty of opportunity last year when he wasn't hurt. And, if Gurley can get a little more out of that, they play in the dome. I don't mind having exposure to that. So he's probably my favorite. I mean, if he falls a little farther, I go for Connor. But again, I see it just doesn't happen anymore. I mean, you used to be able to get him in the fourth round regularly. And then I guess Evan Silva started talking about him, and that was the end of that. But,
I know. I saw Noah Riddell drafted him at like 5'10" today in an underdog draft. Fournette. I mean, it got out of control.
Yeah, Fournette. Yeah. Well, he goes 4'10" here. Yes, I'm torn on him. I kind of like him at these prices. He's so like the value is so depressed, and like I get why people don't like him long term. Oh, you're up here. What are you doing? You're not taking running backs.
No. I'm going to go Cortland Sutton and Zach Ertz here.
All right. I like it.
Let's see here. Yep. Another hyper fragile guy I referenced earlier. Leone is in the chat. Yep. Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, Jonathan Taylor, Cortland Sutton, Zach Ertz. I'm getting pretty excited about Cortland Sutton this year. I think his ADP is off by about a round. Let's see here. What are we looking at for you here now? I assume it'll be a few rounds until you take another running back after Gurley there.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's someone one guy I do like is Akers, though. I don't think I'd take him in the fifth, but if he wrap back around, I might grab him. But a guy like Dave Montgomery, I'm not going to touch him. Mark Ingram, probably not. I like Kareem Hunt, but I like to have more at wide receiver before I go to those guys.
Akers goes 2 picks before you.
Yeah. That's all right though. I got plenty of wide receivers I still like though. There's one guy. Let's see if I get sniped right here. There's one guy in particular. All right, Stephon Diggs. We're gonna add him. He's a RotoViz favorite.
Oh yeah.
So 5th round Diggs. I'm happy with that every time.
For sure.
And then I'm probably going wide receiver around the bend here again. Got a couple of guys I like. Keenan Allen just got more valuable today. Do you see a shoulder injury for Mike Williams?
Yeah, he's like questionable for week 1 already.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's something that's not going to last, that many games. But if it lingers for a little while, a little bit more for Allen, a little bit more for Hunter Henry, more for Eckler. I'm regretting a little bit not taking Eckler in the first 2 rounds.
Over Kelsey?
Yeah, well, not over Adams, probably. Maybe I should have taken taken Kelsey in the first round, and then, or I wouldn't have gotten Eckler if I did that. I guess he went at the turn, but yeah, some way to get him. Oh, I'm back on the clock. All right,
I'll let you talk through this pick right now.
Keenan Allen gone. So let's see here. There was another guy on my list. Did we already lose Will Fuller?
Yes. Yeah, Will Fuller went early 5th. So,
right, so I am going to pull the trigger on the earlier quarterback. I like Kyler Murray quite a bit. So, hopefully I can get Christian Kirk later. I don't know if that'll happen. The problem with Murray is it's kind of hard to stack receivers, unless you already had Hopkins. And I mentioned it never seems to land that way for me. So I kind of have to get Kirk. And then maybe later, I would be looking for Chase Edmonds because I see him almost as a receiver.
There's a chance Kirk might not come back to you, Mike.
Is that right?
It is. I my hands are tied. I am forced to draft wide receivers.
Wide receivers. Yeah, no, I hear you.
We'll see who's there. Kirk, I pulled up my ownership the other day. Kirk is in my top 5 or 6 highest owned guys. We'll see though. Maybe I'll give a little gift to my guest on the stream. Although honestly, with this room, I don't know if Kirk's gonna make it.
I don't know if he'd make it back anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't do it for me.
We'll see here of what options I have available. I'm screening out. I'm not going tight end after that. Are you touching AJ Green this year?
Totally off.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was even before. I mean, we got predictably a report even before the season started that he was hurt. I see no reason to do that.
Yeah. So I just got a DM. Matthew Dellavedova is in our draft right now. His username is, let me see which one he is. He's the team that drafted Mahomes, I am told. So he is RINPTTS here. Miles Sanders, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Holmes, Robert Woods, Cam Akers, and Mark Ingram. So that is a fun subplot. We need to get
I love it.
Dellavedova onto the stream here sometime. But that is great. Someone said, let's see here, that he just tweeted about it. Let's see. I was seeing if I could find it on his tweets. But
so he's got the Tyreek Mahomes stack here, I think.
He does. All right. I need to figure out who I am picking.
Oh, yeah. You're coming up here. Receivers, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Kirk's still there for, as long as he makes it one more pick, right?
I think, yeah, I'm trying. So normally if I would just here, I would probably, who's left at quarterback? Are there any stacks I want to do there? Russell's still there, but I don't have any stacks. You grab Diggs. So Josh Allen isn't as attractive to me there. I think I'm probably going Cooks and Deontay Johnson. Are you out? Cooks is a guy I haven't been drafting a lot. It seems like people are mixed on him.
Oh, you got to click it.
No, I know. I'm letting it. I'm taking it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was, that's kind of my, I stare at it for a sec just in case I want to change it at the last second. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Cooks?
He's an avoid for me. He's expensive enough that I like Will Fuller more. I know I like him more. Cooks has like catastrophic risk. I think he's a really good player. I think he could have some big weeks, which is nice for best ball. But if he gets another concussion, he might not play the rest of the season. So I don't. The upside isn't enough for me. I don't see him being an alpha wide receiver 1. I'm not sure Will Fuller can be that either. But I'll pay an extra round and a half or whatever. You get the guy a lot more comfortable. And I'm saying that about a guy, Will Fuller, who is universally considered injury prone. That's how nervous I am about Cooks.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, Cooks is he's an interesting one for sure. Ooh, look at Dellavedova's going all in on this Chief stack. He adds McCole Harmon with Tyreek and Patrick Mahomes.
I just lost my I lost the lobby.
Oh,
What did I do? What did I do?
Hopefully you have Kirk at the top of your queue because you can get him.
Shoot.
You got 20 seconds.
Man, I'm in trouble.
You got 10 seconds.
All right. I did it through the app. There we go.
I've had that happen to me a couple times on a refresh there.
I never draft from my laptop, and I blanked on how to get back to the room. So, all right, I'm back now. We're okay.
He's back. All right. Let's see here. All right. What are you thinking here for your 8th round?
All right, 8th round. Let's look at what we're doing. I think I got to start getting some running backs probably. So, 8th, 9th round, I usually, since I have Tyler, I don't need to, but I get quarterbacks here. Usually I just pair up whoever I'll reach just to build the stack. But
this is late for Singletary. I have never seen him this late. 8-3?
Yeah, I never draft him ever, but yes, I am taking him. That's crazy. Something happened to him that I don't know about?
I didn't see anything. Everyone in the chat, let us know if something happened. I wonder if just the Moss buzz is now actually starting to depress his ADP a little bit. That's a nice pick.
No, that's definitely happening, but I hadn't seen him fall this far, like, at all.
Me either. I mean, he was like a mid-5th guy as of like a week ago. Like, what happened?
I don't know. There you go. Say 3 picks later.
Wow. Let's see here. Yeah, you might even have a crack. Let's see here. I don't know if Josh Allen would make it back to you. I need to start thinking. So far, my potential stacks would be Big Ben and Drew Lock.
Yeah, Ben, you probably, I don't know, I guess he's a little farther down the list, but I was just starting to say this is the area of the draft where I don't have a lot of guys that I really love. And a lot of times I'll just reach quite a bit to make sure I get the stack at quarterback because I don't feel like I'm missing out on somebody.
Right.
But particularly given that you don't, like you have your running backs set. So, there maybe sometimes there are a couple of guys who I really want to get right here. And I can't spend the pick on quarterback, but you don't need to do that.
Right.
It is pretty early for Ben though.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do a quarterback. I like putting him in the queue to help me think. This is a pretty gross range here. I think one thing I might do. I don't like this range for wide receivers with the Debo and Mike Williams injuries, Ayuk injury. I need to make sure there's not. Man, this is gross.
Tight end, man.
I know. I'm just gonna draft Anthony Miller right now to buy me a little bit of time, even though I don't
Anthony Miller.
I don't like any of those other guys.
But where does he usually go?
I definitely took him ahead of ADP here. I mean, I took him like 20 picks ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't even like Higbee. This turn tilted me here. I lost control. I lost control of the wheel.
I might have taken just on the back of the Mike Williams news that you just mentioned. I might have taken Henry. Yeah. Higbee, but and I think like today I'm flip flopping them in my ranks.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Yes. Well, I actually this is an interesting thing because I'm not in this format. I don't know. I'm not as worried about the buys, although maybe I should be. What are your thoughts about buys?
Does Higbee? Oh, you've got Higbee and Ertz. You got the same buy. I try to avoid it if I can. Definitely. And, you probably, man, with Ertz, you don't usually want to go 3, but I would probably take a third one.
Yeah, the thing
given that you've got the space because you're only going with 3 running backs. So I would take a third running back or a third tight end who doesn't have that week 9 bye.
Yeah, that is the nice thing because you can do, what is the math on it? You can do 3-3-8-3. Is that right?
3-3-9-3 actually.
3-3-9-3. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can get the extra draft. Yeah, Eric says this is the snipiest draft I've been in. That's the problem with these drafts, Beers. We let all the sharks in, and then we all make each other miserable. Meanwhile,
that's why it's nice to do something off the wall, like hyper fragile, because they're not generally not sniping your guy. But the thing I like about hyper fragile is I almost never care who I get. Like I'm drafting 9 wide receivers. I'm mostly going by ADP, except when I'm trying to target someone for a stack specifically.
For sure. All right, let's see. You are almost on the clock here.
Yeah, I was just looking at. I just noticed that Henry has the same buy as Kelsey, which is pretty frustrating. But I still need some running back support here, and I got a couple of guys I like still on the board. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to. I really don't like Jordan Howard. I'm going to go with Carry on here.
I know Sean had his funny article where he's like, if you don't like Josh Jacobs, here's 2 guys you could draft later that I also don't like. And Jordan Howard was one of them. He basically, I think he was saying that if Moss and Lindsey are off the board and that profile fits your team needs, that he didn't hate a Jordan Howard pick, but he wasn't too enthused about it.
Yeah, it's not like you just said about the profile fitting your team needs. Like, it's hard to picture the team that he fits. Like what the occasional touchdown, like no. I don't know. I'm not expecting big games. Like a big game from him is going to be 2 touchdowns and 40 yards on the ground. That's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, maybe more than 40, but and that's not going to happen very often. I can't get excited about it. Yeah.
All right. What are you going to do here with this 10th round pick?
So another 0 RB favorite. I'm adding Philip Lindsay to the team here. So now I got 4 guys. And I'm probably going to wait now, given that I used that early pick on Gurley until the end and add a couple more. But I think I'm stopping at 6 here because I didn't go 0 RB here. Not the traditional wait 5 rounds or whatever. I only have 4 wide receivers so far and 1 tight end. So
yeah, you had 2 really nice picks that set you up there. I mean, Christian Kirk falling to there. I would like that one back after what I did at the 8-9 turn. And then Devin Singletary there also really just helps offset any of the hesitation with Gurley.
Yeah. And this is, I said after the first 2 picks, I'm going 0 RB, but I'm never lock into that, right? Like these were weird values to me. And you can build around it. I mean, if you get halfway through the draft, then it's probably too late to change what you're doing if you develop some kind of plan. But 6 rounds in, 5 rounds in, it's pretty easy to pivot and still build a structurally sound team.
Definitely.
What are you looking at here?
So, I mean, I definitely need a wide receiver. I was taking a peek to see if there were any quarterbacks that I would want to mess around with as well. Cam Newton goes off the board. I might be thinking about Big Ben here or Goff to go with Higbee or Deontay Johnson. I probably, with this build, should probably lock up one of those quarterbacks. Let's see, did someone just go? No, both of the quarterback options are still there. What do you like here?
I like Ben here, and then I try to add James Washington later.
Yeah.
And if you can't get him, then even Claypool, like at the very end.
Yeah. I think I can wait on James Washington, although we will see.
I wouldn't do it right now. I would hope that he comes back around, and then sort of your fallback plan would be you can still get Ebron as well.
That's a good call. Yeah. I think I'm going to go Preston Williams here as my wide receiver and then make sure that I get Big Ben. All right. That's the thing about the turn is sometimes it's nice because you can ensure your stacks and stuff like that. And then there's other times where, like my previous turn, where it just feels like I'm reaching, a round and a half ahead to graft a guy, which when you fall in those gross, dead zones.
Yeah. Yeah. Something I like to do, or I try to do when picking at the turn like that is, if I feel like it's a reach to get the guy that would really, complete the stack or make the stack that I want, is I'll use the one of those picks to like open up the possibility of a different stack. Say I already had, what's a good example? Now I'm blanking on names, but like one of the later quarterbacks. Let me just look at the list to remind myself. Bridgewater, right?
Yeah.
So say you had DJ Moore, you weren't really trying to target Bridgewater, and you're at a point where you really want a wide receiver, like it's the obvious value, but you also think maybe you need to take a quarterback to complete some stack or something. Take Curtis Samuel or Robbie Anderson there, so that if you don't end up completing that stack, when it doesn't make it back to you like you hoped, then you've opened up the possibility of having this double stack with Bridgewater.
Right. That is the interesting thing too with stacks of it. It's much easier to do it with those late quarterbacks where you can add, LaVisca Chenault and then come back and get Gardner Minshew after, as opposed to, like in your case, it can be hard with those guys if you draft Kyler and then you miss out on Kirk coming back.
All right. I almost timed out here. All right. I really don't like Rodgers, but I feel like we're late enough and I have Adams that I'm just going to go for it here.
Yeah.
And Jonnu really, man, that threw me off because I was planning to take him and then get Tannehill later. I would have had Jonnu. Tannehill. And then someone takes Edmonds, so there goes that. But at least I got Kirk, and then I could probably add Isabella at the end.
Yeah.
He's not one of my favorites, but it's fine.
Are you full fade on, or sorry, what are you going to do here, you think?
All right. Well, since I got Rodgers, and it looks like based on ADP, this is my chance. I'm just going to add Lazard here.
Oh, yeah. That actually works out well.
So now it's sort of salvaging what I was hoping to do with the Titans. But, man, I'm worried about the passing game. Outside of Adams, I'm worried about the passing game in Green Bay. It's not really something I was trying to get here.
Yeah. The wide receivers are getting gross here. I'm up to 5. I still need more quarterbacks at some point. Maybe I might do Goff here as one of them.
Goff because you have Higbee.
I'm trying to see if I have any. I mean, these ones are super punts. And then I have Locke as an option as well. And then I think I'm probably actually maybe I double tap wide receiver here to make sure I get James Washington.
Who's the other one you're going for?
I think I'm debating between N'Keal Harry and LaVisca. The stream always
toward the top of my list. So he won't come back to you, but he wasn't going to anyway. Somebody took him.
He's already gone. He creeps up a round in ADP every week.
But is Jordan Howard still on the board?
Yes, he is. This is a weird draft.
I was saying I was going to wait until the end, but I don't need him that much.
Took all. Okay. All right. I'm going to do Jared Goff and James Washington.
You sound so happy.
I've been on tilt ever since that Higbee, Anthony Miller those picks. I'm not happy, Mike. I'm miserable.
Well, don't worry. You can still get Foles for that, Anthony Miller.
There you go. You know, just was it who did? Yeah, it seems like there's a chance that Trubisky actually might win the job, right?
There's a chance. He's. I don't see what's the point in bringing Foles. I know Foles isn't like good, but neither is Trubisky. I mean, I would just give the team to Foles. They did the experiment with Trubisky.
Let's see here. RKFD says, "Can I even be mad about getting sniped by Delhi?" Let's see what. Here's the other problem. Delhi's setting up to get Drew Lock for his Denver stack because he's got Fant and Judy here, and I'm over here with Cortland Sutton thinking I would get Lock, and there's no way Delhi is letting Lock slip past these two picks. I know it.
Whoa. All right, you need a new plan, man.
I'm just getting. At least if I'm going to get beat, it's by Matthew Dellavedova.
There you go.
Yeah, the chat is upset. We didn't get the LaVisca hype reel. Don't worry, we've drafted him on 80% of all other teams and streams.
What do you think about Tariq Cohen? He's a guy I draft all the time in PPR leagues. He's fallen pretty far here.
Yeah, and I also think Keyshawn Vaughn is definitely palatable at that price point.
Yeah, they're the two guys I'm looking at right now.
Cohen. Sean has gotten me more excited about Cohen than I would have been otherwise.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm taking him.
I mean, what I've kind of heard Sean infer is that he thinks that, Cohen's ADP is just massively off. And that just the way things broke from him last year aren't really reflective of his talent and situation this year. And in best ball too, where I don't want to touch him in a managed league. But this seems like a good spot for him. Let's see.
I mean, this is even later than usual. I mean, I think his regular ADP is, Sean would say, is mispriced.
Yeah.
And now I got him, a couple rounds later.
The Tyrod Joe Reed stack is available. I know I hadn't even heard of Joe Reed when he was drafted, and now it seems like the drumbeat mic on Joe Reed is starting to build.
I have no idea who that is.
He's a rookie wide receiver that I don't know why people are excited about him. I guess because of the Mike Williams injury, but they just said he was going to be returning punts or something. The Joe Reed stands will be upset at me for not intimately knowing who Joe Reed is and what his role is.
All right.
All right. What are you doing here?
I was assuming, I'm taking Vaughn. Yeah, he's another one that Sean has talked me into over the past, without even talking directly to me, of course, over the past week or so. I just love that he loves Ronald Jones, and he has for a while. And as soon as Vaughn dropped, 6-7 rounds in ADP, he's recommending Vaughn. I mean, that's my kind of pick, I think, because nothing really did change for him. So I'll take it.
Yeah. And I think too, that's the thing, right? It's just like, we all have our guys we like, we have the profiles we like, but we have to be price sensitive. And when Ronald Jones is now screaming into the 4th and 5th round and nothing has really changed for Vaughn and he's dropping, and historically, where you get the massive running back breakouts, the Nick Chubbs, the Alvin Kamaras, those come in that 10 to 13th round range pocket. And Keyshawn Vaughn is now firmly there.
Yeah. Yeah, and what Sean's been saying in particular is these rookies who just fall over the course of the offseason have worked out really well for him. I know the recent one was Nick Chubb. I don't remember the other names in particular, but I guess that's something he targets.
Jeez, Mike, this has to be like the grossest board. Someone snipes me on Ebron, so I can't even take the. Am I drafting like Josh Reynolds to complete more Goff stack? I mean, that feels gross. I hate all of these. I guess maybe I'd take Steven Sims. Is Kendrick?
Yeah. I think so you didn't need Ebron. You've already got Deontay, James Washington, and James Conner. So that's not a big blow to you. And then Goff, you've got Higbee. I mean, I wouldn't take Reynolds out right now.
Yeah. I could do Renfro.
Oh, so did he take Locke? Yeah, he did.
Okay. He did. Yeah, Deli took it. I knew he was. Deli, I saw that from a mile away. All right, I'm going to draft Steven Sims here. Keep adding wide receivers. Quantity over quality, right?
And you know what you could do? I said something about this on Twitter the other day, is he probably makes it back to your next turn. You can just stack Raiders at the very end. You can get Derek Carr, Lynn Bowden, and, Edwards, or any of them, really. They're so cheap.
All right, we'll do that. I'll add Renfro here and then see what other Raiders I want to add. I like that play. Dellavedova, let's check in on him. He did complete his Denver stacks. He's got the Chiefs stack. What are your thoughts now? The rumblings here. I was drafting DeAndre Washington everywhere. The beat reporters aren't talking about him at all. Most reports are pointing to Darrell Williams being the two behind Edwards-Helaire. How are you playing this situation?
I'm drafting him.
Washington or both?
Washington.
Yeah.
So I had him on. He's gone, right?
He's gone. Dellavedova took him, and I've just been thinking about that.
Yeah. No, I like that pick, particularly for the KC stack. The upside is just too much, right? Like the price is fine. You're getting him in the early teens a lot of the time, and why not? I mean, he's played reasonably well in a number of games, and it's just such a high-powered offense. I like it. He's one of my zero RB targets.
Yeah, it's tricky this year. I mean, the reporters don't have near the access that they normally do. We don't have preseason where the coaches can actually kind of tell us some things based on usage and when they use players. So I still am preaching extreme caution and overreacting to these news reports about this stuff. I think, the team told us a lot when they went out and got DeAndre Washington, when they already had Darrell Williams and Darwin Thompson on the roster and drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. All right, you're on the clock here.
Yeah, I almost missed it. All right, hey, I got an oldie but a goodie.
There you go. Get that stack.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm feeling good about the stacks here. I usually get 3 quarterbacks in these, but because I spent up on Kyler, I'm probably going to stop at 2 here. Just the 3 opens up more opportunities to stack for those last weeks, but if you're not building it, you have to build a team that's going to get there. So
that is very true. It doesn't appear. I don't feel great about this team. I don't think this one's going to get there. But like you said, we can live with some gross wide receivers in the hyper fragile build.
Yes, they don't have to be good. They just have to be good sometimes.
just twice.
Just a few weeks, right? I waited too long on tight end. We talked about this earlier. I would have liked to get second one earlier than this, but Doyle fell quite a bit, so I guess he's my second tight end.
That is definitely one thing that I've noticed, regardless of if I'm doing hyper fragile or zero RB, that and just talking to you made me start to think about getting tight end a little earlier, because I've been drafting some of those gross guys really late, and it dries up fast here towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, Doyle is much better than I would have expected to have waiting until the 16th round. So I'm okay with that.
Let's
see.
So
what do I have? I have 6 wide receivers. I'm probably hitting wide receiver with my last 2 picks here. I think I'm okay with the value I got at running back. You're trying to? Did somebody take Carr? Are you gonna go for that?
Yeah. So I have Carr and Haskins as options. And then
you could just triple up on the week 9 bye and take Everett as well at tight end.
Yeah, just might as well. But speaking of that, what are your, if you have a Wentz Ertz stack and Goddard is there cheap? I mean, is Goddard just a complete fade in that situation, or are there contexts where you would do that?
No, I would do that. I wouldn't reach for him. I'm not like, that's not like a stack I'm trying to make, but he does sometimes slip a little farther. And I think Ertz and Goddard coexist. Like, I don't think you need one to be gone for the other to be good. Now, I think Goddard's best case scenario is that Ertz is gone or gets injured or whatever. But I think Ertz will be good either way. So I don't mind it. The only issue is they have the same bye. So, generally I want to have 3 tight ends if I'm going to do that.
Right.
But I've definitely done it a few times.
Did both my quarterbacks literally just get drafted out from underneath me? Are you kidding me? What the hell is going on? Does this mean I have to take No, I can't. What if I want Burrow? What if I went Burrow and T. Higgins? Is T. Higgins still here? What do you think about that?
I think you take Burrow regardless. Like even if it's not for a stack, he's the best player available.
That's what I was gonna say. Burrow in the 17th is nice.
And you have so what bye is week 9? All right, I was gonna say you could take Uzuma.
Oh yeah, but
he's also week 9, and maybe you just say screw it. Take a 0 at tight end for a week. That's the least painful 0 you can take.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, I'm gonna grab T. Higgins here as another dart throw, and then I'll figure out one more tight end in the last round. Ugh, Mike, this draft.
You got to just, you hold your nose and jump in with the hyper fragile draft. I told you, I don't care who I get in these. You got 9 of them. They're ugly. 6 of them might be terrible each week. You only need 3 of them to be good.
Yeah, establish the Rob. I think, he had taken Bryan Edwards, and so that's why he was completing the Derek Carr stack. Dellavedova takes Kenny Stills. People, the Twitter training camp grinders want Auden Tate, who apparently Mike has been the MVP of camp.
Yeah,
that's what
the MVP of Twitter. Twitter's MVP of camp.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, they got multiple players hurt.
Yeah, I mean. T. Higgins, I mean, there's definitely those other wide receivers we're more excited about. But, I mean, Higgins still had an interesting prospect profile and profiles as a best ball type boom bust option.
Yeah, no, he's a guy I drafted regularly before he got hurt.
Oh, I didn't even know he was hurt.
Yeah, that's why he's so cheap. He used to be going earlier.
All right, Mike. You have your 2 final picks coming up here. You said you're probably going wide receiver.
It depends on what happens with this. No, I'm taking Sternberger to go with all my other Packers.
Oh, and there you go.
Wide receiver.
Guys, I can't do Dan Arnold again. I can't after Mike just told me. Yeah, we'll see what comes back to me here at tight end. It's too really so I take Uzoma
on Disley. Those aren't horrible options.
Yeah.
And then Everett, I don't know, maybe you just eat the bye,
Yeah. Oh, Mike. So, Mike, this is a pull behind the curtain for everybody. So before the stream started, Mike and I were trying to get in a Best Ball Mania draft. I accidentally got in one that started without Mike getting into it. So I managed it for about the first 6 rounds while before Mike and I got started here, but then it just fell to the wayside. And of course, it's now a draft that's getting circulated on Twitter by Noah Riddell because Dellavedova is in this draft as well. And now people see this team that I auto drafted from round 8 and on that has 5 quarterbacks, 1 tight end, and is a disaster. I'm already getting tagged in it, wondering what the hell I was doing. I auto drafted.
Well, you got to get those position limits on there. The thing that I set for the autopilot, then you only get stuck with 3 quarterbacks.
This has been a rough afternoon, Mike. Just lighting money.
The reason I first was really excited about those position limits is that live drafts, I got like a dozen every year that I just start like in bed and then just fall asleep 3 rounds in and end up with 5 quarterbacks. So now that you can only give me 3, that's a nice guardrail.
Well, right before we started, you're like, "Oh, Pete, there goes $25," and I was like, "Nah, I'll be able to handle this." And then no. Next thing you know, I'd completely forgotten about it, and it all went down. That's like, have you ever done? I think about how poker players, right? They would like 8 table, like all the things. Have you ever just pulled them all up live and done like 8 at the same time?
I have done that a few times. I've also fallen asleep in the middle of doing 3 of them at a time, which is not good. No. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, you do enough of these, it's just about, you can size up your roster really quickly. You're like, these are the guys I like. This is the position I need. Just take them, right? Without having to think too much about it.
Right.
But what are you doing with your last pick? So I did take Isabella. I don't love him, but I figured, I've only got 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to extend the stack a little bit.
God, it's so funny that my best options, like in a vacuum, would probably be Everett and Uzoma, and I can't take them because they would then be my 3rd week 9 tight end buy. Although maybe I just say screw it and I grab Everett.
Do it. Yeah, take the best player.
Play the best plays. Who cares about your bye weeks when I'm just obliterating people week after week? Week 9 will be, the least of my concerns. All right, Mike, let's hear the rundown on your team here.
All right. So we started out, I was thinking of going 0 RB, which is not, we said at the top, was not a thing I love to do on Underdog particularly, and ran off course there. But I'm happy with Adams and Kelsey where I got them. Usually I want to have 2 tight ends when I get Kelsey in this format, but I waited way too long. So went off script a little bit. I'm happy with my receivers, given that I got a strong top 3, and then the rest are just filling out the stacks. I'm pretty happy with that. And these 0 RB guys, that like I get them when I'm going 0 RB, and I wasn't trying to do that here, with the early Gurley and Singletary, but I got guys I love at running back. Like I'm kind of excited about this team. It's not one I would have drawn up coming in.
Very nice. Also, Mike, this has been a disaster. What if I think I'm just putting this together. I don't think Della Vedova was in our draft. I think he was in the other draft that I auto drafted because he messaged me saying Della Vedova's in your draft right now. It was the other one that I was in, not this one. This is just not my finest moment. So full disclosure, as I'm piecing this together, I do not think Della Vedova. I'm pulling up this other one here. Noah posted the board. What is his username? He said he took Mahomes. Where is this? I can't even see this. What am I even looking at? Delhi took Mahomes 1.2. Okay. This is the case. Della Vedova was not in our draft. His username is Delhi. Today has been just an awful day for me as a host and as a best ball drafter, but that's why we bring on guys like Mike Beers to keep us afloat.
All right. Well, hey, this was fun. It's harder. It's hard. It's hard talking and drafting at the same time. Normally, I have like this weird ritual in the live drafts where I just play the same song on a loop, like a maniac.
Yeah.
And I don't talk to anybody. So we did all right, all things considered. I know you're a pro at this, but
no. Yeah. I think I'm a pro, but then the second I have to start multitasking, it all goes to shit. But tell the people what you got going on over at RotoViz. You guys have some absolutely sick tools for best ball drafters, stack explorers. What's going on over there?
Yeah, so the big thing this offseason that I added was the player win rate explorer, which I just love it. It pulls all the win rates for individual players from FFPC and Best Ball 10 leagues over the past 5 years or 3 years for FFPC. And you can look up how any player did. You can look up how they did stacked with particular players. You can see how different positional stacks did. This is particularly useful for tournaments. You know, so you can say a quarterback one, you know, like my quarterback one stacked with a team's wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3. How did that compare to stacking my quarterback 2 with the team's wide receiver 1? That kind of thing. And then the thing I love most is this positional heat map, which has really dictated a lot of my strategy for best ball this year. You can pull up where like win rates above expectation for different positional picks. And it's all like green is good, red is bad. And you can see these areas of draft, like clearly this is where you take your quarterbacks. And clearly this does not work to take them in the first 3 rounds or whatever. It really jumps out at you. So that's what I'm excited about. Something I'm working on right now that's been kind of a killer, but it's something to look forward to is a draft dashboard that for mock drafting and importing your picks and things like that with recommendations. It's something that Dave Caban at RotoViz built in Excel, and you've been able to download for a while. We're moving it onto the web. We've only got a couple weeks left of the draft season here, but I'm hoping to get it out for people to use for the stretch run. So something to look forward to. And I am on Twitter at Beerswater.
Yes. If you guys are interested in getting better at best ball drafting and not making mistakes like I did today, definitely check out Mike and their stuff at RotoViz. Lots of good article series about how to attack best ball on all the different formats. So absolutely good stuff. Mike, you. Thank you, Mike, for coming out. This is a rough day. I'm just throwing in the towel today, Mike. I'm retiring after this. Have a good one, guys. Thank you guys for coming out.
All right. Thanks, man.